Hi, I'm Chris from Harmony Schools. The question I addressed in my project was how cold can an endothermic reaction get, and what causes the flask to stick to the board. I did this by combining certain chemicals to create an endothermic reaction. For my project, I started with the specific chemicals that I needed to create the endothermic reaction. I measured them out into the exact amounts that I needed. The ratios had to be correct to get the desired reaction. I used the electronic scales to be as precise as I could in the measurement. Once they're all measured, I put them in the Erlenmeyer flask. Once I had all of the chemicals in the flask, I put the flask on a damp wood board. I used a long stirring rod to combine the chemicals, and this is what started the reaction. I used a digital thermometer to keep time as the reaction took place. At the coldest point, the temperature of the dissolved liquid got down to negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit. As the chemicals combined, the bonds of the reactants broke down in order to create the new combined product. The breaking down of the bonds used more energy than existed in the reactants, so the reaction drew heat from the surroundings. As it drew heat from the board underneath the flask, it caused the moisture in the board to freeze to the flask, so when I lifted up the flask, the board was frozen to it. For my ELA component of my project, I kept a journal of the work I was doing. You can view that for a more detailed explanation of the experiment. I also wrote a paper on the history of Pierre Berthelot, who was a French scientist who first coined the term endothermic reaction. He was a leading researcher in science and chemistry and wrote books explaining his findings. He was the first to describe this type of reaction and use the term endothermic. Thanks for watching Harmony Schools.